This is the one with the artifact, right? Huh. Feels a bit too light. Could have sworn it was heavier before. God damn it, that thieving bastard!
It is said that the protection of these temples was paramount to the protection of the people. Can I help you?
Professor Connors. I was coming because I wanted to express my excitement for your course. Your ramblings on the subject of ancient farming structures were incredibly...
My ramblings.
Excuse me, I meant to say your insights.
If there's a point you're trying to make, now's the time.
I'm supposed to deliver a letter to you. It's from a Dr. Dempsey.
Dempsey?
You teach here?
Well, that settles that.
Hey, I'm the house. I think that's Warren.
Is it true what they're saying about you?
Well, that depends. What did you hear?
That you're that adventurer who dove into the cave just south of here. You retrieved the ancient stone of Bakazad?
Don't believe every story you hear. It'll get you into trouble.
This is for you. You need to watch your back.
We received a letter for you now.
According to all my studies, there should be a religious artifact inside that was believed to be magical.
Dear renowned adventurer Ollivander Dawson, I've heard of your brilliant exploits and hope to employ you for a most dangerous mission. Recently, on an expedition...
Hello, Alexandra. I understand you have quite a knack for helping indigenous tribes reclaim artifacts, so I've decided to invite you to my excursion. I will offer you any information or payment you wish. Signed, Dr. Dempsey.
Why, hello, my brilliant comrades. I hope making your way to this desolate place wasn't too challenging. We have much to uncover.
So you're the one who sent us the note.
Well, yes, Mr. Ollivander, I'm the one who put together this great ensemble. I assume you've made acquaintance.
More or less.
Dempsey, they never told me why you were expelled from the department.
Well, the department and I had a difference in our methodology, so I moved on to a more lenient sponsor.
I don't like the sound of that.
Me neither.
Well, let's move on to the secrets of the temple.
Yeah, this is definitely an old temple.
Watch your step. Traps are common in temples like these.
Thanks.
Guys, you gotta come take a look at this.
How are we gonna get through that?
don't worry about that. I can get past this easy.
Well, that's great, but what about the professor guy?
Hey, what do you think that is? Bet that lever stops the trap.
Well, it's worth a try. Here, step out of the way. So does somebody have a key, or?
It appears to be a challenge of wits, my dear friend.
What exactly does it say?
I know this language. It says, I'm not alive, but I grow. I do not have lungs, but I need air. What am I?
I don't know, successful airline.
A fire!
Oh yeah, that makes more sense. All right, move out of the way and let me use this torch. How does this door work?
I wonder if this temple really is magic.
Magic or not, let's keep going. The world needs to see this.
There it is. It's just like the description.
Well, what do you think, Dempsey? Dempsey, what are you doing?
Dempsey, stop!
Finally, I will have the head of shock. No more dealing with the pesky natives or the foolish Americans.
Dempsey, you son of a bitch!
Not so crass.
You said we were retrieving this for the natives, Dempsey.
What are you gonna tell the tribe?
I've already taken care of the tribe. You three are next. Hello, welcome to Mastering Volume Episode 2. I'm here with Brittany, Hunter, and Chris once again, and we had a lot of fun on this one, and we hope that you all enjoyed it as much as we had making it. So we're just gonna get, again, right into it. Where do we start?
Where do we start?
Where do we start? Well, how many...
Where did it start?
Where did it start? Yes. Well, maybe it was with our inspiration. Obviously, was Indiana Jones. What about the new one? Maybe poured into the inspiration for episode 2.
Well, I think honestly, all of them poured into the inspiration for episode 2 because we kind of looked at like what are the quintessential pieces that make an Indiana Jones story, and then also what do those sets look like, and how can we deliver some of the action sequences that like we've come to love.
I do want to know what y'all's favorite indie film is.
Mine's Raiders of the Lost Ark, easily. That was like the first one I saw. It was my parents introducing it to me. You know, we were watching our giant, SD TV or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was just awesome. I mean, it's so cool to see as a kid, and even as an adult, like there's nothing that like, you still get to root for him. And I'm still just as excited to watch it and see the stunts, and he's just such an alluring character. So
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone's gonna say the second one.
The second one's like the one you put on like when you're doing chores, you know, like.
Yeah.
you know,
Indy, no, I can't stand that. That's why I loved Marion Ravenwood's character in Raiders. A strong female lead that she's tough. We know she's a drinker. She can drink any guy under the table.
She gambles, right?
Which is hilarious. So when you were writing each person's character, you know, I think the three of you embody Indiana Jones in different ways. Like Chris's character was the professor. The adventure type of returning things back to where they were supposed to be was Brittany's character, and then you were the physical embodiment.
the fruit.
Yeah, with the whip and
younger
with the look. Yes, with the,
embodiment.
much younger. How many different environments did we have to make for this?
It was probably like 10. It was honestly probably like 10.
Yeah,
so we
because
went insane.
Even when we're inside the temple, it wasn't all just one environment. We had to split it up because it was so huge.
Yeah.
And all the mega scans that we had in there would make this thing run at like maybe 6 frames per second.
Yeah, if that.
Yeah. So let's talk about. I mean, we're in an office now. Brittany, this was your work. This is great. This was actually the first scene that we shot. For the video. So tell us, you know, where you pulled these assets from and exactly your inspiration for this.
Yeah. First, I kind of started off with the movies. I went back and watched some of the clips from the movies and gathered some still images of Indy and kind of his professor persona, and I pulled some specific office shots. I looked up like some archaeologist office spaces. You know, I'm just kind of imagining like, oh, she's a professor, she's carrying around a bunch of books, she's constantly reading, maybe grading papers. So throughout the environment, you'll see those things on her desk, kind of cluttered space for a creative or, you know, that type of person.
There's a lot of different like thoughts on how much actual set design is done practically and how much isn't. So like Brittany, can you talk about like what pieces you found and like why you thought those worked for the scene? And then like what's the reason to have anything at all, right, if we're virtual?
I selected a few props. I sourced them from like thrift stores or from, I went on to OfferUp, so some local people were like selling some props that I felt were perfect, like a perfect fit for our scenes. One of those I found for this scene was a desk.
You got it for like what, $25 or something?
She was selling it for $25. I got her down to $20.
What's $5?
You know?
So what about the artifacts? You know, they were kind of
dressing
special.
your scene was the most fun, in my opinion. You know, we had that desk, perfect fit, and my friend Sam Holmes, he's a bit of a historian. He collects artifacts from all throughout history. And it just hit me, it clicked, and I like looked him dead in the eyes and I was like, Sam, why don't we feature some of your artifacts? And oh, he geeked out. He loved the idea. We picked out some really fun pieces and he brought them in, and he even got to star in the scene too.
So yeah, like minimal set design, right?
Yeah,
Desk, chair, artifacts?
Very intentional pieces, I think, you know. That's like the most important piece. You don't have to build out the entire room with practical props. You can select very specific things and it'll really work well.
Yeah, and I know one of my like things too, especially with wood tones, and I annoy everybody with this all the time, is like finding some tone to match some other tone, right? So if it's the desk matching the
wood panels?
Yes, wood paneling or the trim or like whatever it is, like even though in real life it may or may not perfectly match, like there's something about like blending those colors together that really like sells it virtually. So you're like, okay, I'm in it. Like this all belongs together. So we did have to make a couple little color adjustments just to like get that look just right in there. It really is whatever the talent touches, right? So, and I know in Hunter's first iteration of the scene, like he had a pillar, you know, with an idol on it that you'd found, you know, some assets, and we're like, okay, so now we have the actual pillar and source the actual idol. So we're like, okay, well, we still want to do like this wide cinematic shot. And I think this was probably was this the first project we ever started doing the photo scans?
Yeah,
that was the reason, right? We had a need for it. So we're like, okay, we need the actual asset to be in that cinematic.
Yeah, this was something that we pushed ourselves for because we not only want to have to rely on like, you know, high quality mega mega scans, right? We wanted to do our own. And because, I mean, we had to. Because when we're walking into the temple and we see the head of Shock like in the background, like we need to get like an actual like truly scaled model of it.
Yes.
And the best way to do that is to scan it. So talk about the scanning process, you two, because both of you scan quite a bit.
Scanning was fun.
Yeah.
It was really fun. I mean, I got a kick out of it. Scanning the props was really fun, but even getting scanned myself was fun.
Yeah, so we scanned both of you all. We needed to, because we had an action sequence where we literally couldn't do the action sequence in our space, just because of how small it was.
Yeah.
And plus, I mean, you on a motorcycle is super dangerous to pop a wheelie and try to like fly out. So I think Chris and I were we in San Antonio that weekend that like they sent us the scan?
Yeah.
Somewhere.
Yeah,
You guys were not here. It was just me and me and Hunter in the lab. Okay.
It was a surprise. It was a surprise. We're like, oh my god, this is hilarious.
I was
Because
cracking up.
you weren't actually sitting on the motorcycle. You were sitting on like what, a couple boxes, and holding something.
Sitting on a chair, and then Hunter and I set up these 2 poles so that I could rest my hands and so they could like stay still.
Yeah,
and
because
in
you
the
have to
same
be
spot,
so still.
to be completely still, right? So I have the headpiece on, I got the pants on, I got my boots on, and I'm sitting like this, like I'm on the motorcycle.
I mean, the detail that you were able to get. And you know, we did all the scans with our iPhones, right? And for the motorcycle stuff, talk about the process of scanning the motorcycle, because that had to be difficult.
Old Dust.
Old Dusty.
Old Dusty.
Glad she was able to make maybe one
final
final appearance. I don't know. I always think it's the final, then I bring her on back, and she lives here for 2 years. You know the bike looks cool in the studio, okay? The
I
bike
know.
looks really
It
cool.
already
in the
lived here for like
studio.
6 months.
People walk in and they're like, "What are you filming?" Well, for this past year, we've been filming one motorcycle scene. So, yeah, bringing in the motorcycle. We scanned. You scanned it, right? I didn't scan
Yeah, I
the
scanned it.
motorcycle,
Yeah. We have like a few ways that we can scan something, but the key to that one was honestly just getting in all the little divots, because you get a lot of shadows, but you can't hit it with a lot of harsh light because it's very reflective. So you just got to take your time and really get up close and like get the deep ends of that bike, because if you don't, you know, you're gonna get like a splotch in the mesh. Yeah, and holes in the mesh. So once we kind of got one that we really liked, I just kind of cleaned it up, and then we attached you to that, like your asset, the asset of you, onto that from there, because like obviously doing them together would have been a mess, right?
And like sometimes the meshes don't work. You know,
For sure, there are issues.
Sometimes there's, you know, issues with, you know, how the triangles render like a certain, you know, like especially wrinkles in clothes.
For sure.
But it was fun when we scanned you, because, well, what happened? His face ended up looking like Sloth from Goonies, because
I looked so bad. I looked like Play-Doh.
Yeah. So we never saw your face, and we didn't need to. I think he might have had like an itch on his nose. So his face shifted just a tad, where like one of his eyes.
It looks crazy.
Yeah. But everything else like looked great from behind. And then we scanned the hat too. Brittany, you did the hat, right?
Yeah.
Did you? Yeah. So we scanned the hat, put the hat on you, and then that's how we did
Yeah.
the pit. So do we have any questions that are pertaining
Well, I had
to
one more on like photo
Okay.
scan. So we're standing in front of this big fire pit and it just opens, and we're like, okay, well, shoot, well, why does it just open? Well, it has to be triggered somehow. So we're like, okay, well, what if Brittany like steps on something? So we're like, oh, we're gonna have to build out a floor and like have everything match and all this. And Hunter's like, why don't we just scan her boot?
The boot scan was actually I scanned the boot.
Oh,
Might have been his idea.
congratulations.
No, whatever. I don't want to take all the credit. No. We'll cut that. No.
Don't cut that.
Keep it.
Don't cut that.
All right, I'm gonna sound like that. No, what I loved that Hunter did was that Brittany's wearing khaki pants.
Yep.
And we didn't have a scan of khaki pants, so he took, to make it look like a khaki pant on top of a boot, he took a second asset of boots and then just lightened them
And scaled it.
and scaled
Make it look like
and then
pants.
just looked like her pants, and it's so goofy looking.
Yeah. If you see it from the wide, like not what I got in the camera, it's
yeah.
like boots on top of boots.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Yeah, it looks so
yeah,
goofy, but
you just gotta
it
know,
works.
You
It
gotta
works
know
really well.
your space.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess I kind of asked already after we wrapped, but favorite part of this project? I'll start with you, Justin.
Well, I'll repeat myself as I did, as I talked about it yesterday. Like every scene to me was a challenge, so it was my favorite because I'm like, okay, how am I going to shoot this and make it interesting? How are we trying to move the story forward, and how do I emulate this so it doesn't look just like shot, shot, shot? I want it to have some sweeping camera movement. We need some discovery from the characters when they see something. We need to see some reveals of these large spaces. So every single scene I went into, I was like, okay, we need this. What is the element of this scene? The mysteriousness of my character, for instance, is that like you guys are coming through like these vines. Like who's this like guy like sitting behind like this vegetation? So like we wanted to have the POV from you all to kind of push through and have this like blurry figure in the background. Who is that? Cut to you guys coming through, and then it's a nice push in as I turn around, and like you reveal like who the heck is this dude, and then you learn a little bit about more about my character as the thing goes by. So that's my favorite part.
Next.
My favorite part. I just really loved our extra selection. I really loved bringing in like your dad. We brought in Keller. We brought in my friend Sam. We brought in our peers. Your friends made a cameo too.
Buds.
Yeah, we just had some really great people that we all wanted to see be a part of this, and they were excited to be a part of it, and it was like really fun to see them shine and to kind of get comfortable in the space and play. I really love those moments. I felt like that was a really great time. Yeah.
I think my favorite thing actually shooting was doing the jungle scene, just because I really love that background, and I felt like our performances were like just what I wanted on that scene. They were just perfect, because this was the first real project where I was fully running the wall. And so then you were kind of like teaching me the way to like run it, and you don't know this trick, let me teach you this. Oh, okay. And then so all across like this whole process, I got to learn different things and kind of become better through this project. So yeah, that was my favorite part.
Chris, you enjoyed your scene quite a bit.
Yeah, it was just fun, just to kind of be a smart, boring bitch, I guess. But I was gonna say my favorite thing was just like, I always like to look back and like count like how many different roles each of us actually fulfill when we do projects like these. So really just like getting to experiment with everything and then like continue to push ourselves further and further.
Each of us, right. In terms of the creation process, it was the four of us, and it was certainly a team effort, and I love that. I felt more cohesion on this one than episode 1, because episode 1 was, we're considering our pilot. Like, can we do something like this? And we kept it really simple. We had 2 environments, and most of it played out in 1.
So every project that anybody's ever done comes with challenges, right? So I'd kind of like to hear what y'all felt, for you, was your biggest challenge in this project.
I can think of one immediately. So learning the wall was obviously a challenge, but more specifically, understanding the documentation, everything around switchboard and display, the frustum, all that was a bit of a challenge for me. But I think the awesome thing is I got to come into a space where we had a specialist. So that was great to lean off of you, but there are a bunch of resources as well online, specifically through Epic, but also, other places.
Better resources than, like we talked about this in episode 1. There wasn't any documentation, right? Back in, when did we start? 2021. It was bad. It was bad stuff.
We talk about it like it was 20 years ago because the technology's moved
so fast. A lot has happened with Unreal itself. Like, going from 4.25 to 5. We created this in 5.1. A lot has happened. Like, Unreal has done a lot of groundwork to make these things easier for us. Still difficult.
Yes.
To do everything. It's not easier. We'll always repeat that. The hardest thing is to make things photoreal.
Absolutely, and that's the battle we fight. But we've been able to dial in kind of what we're doing with like path tracing, the VDBs. Now Niagara has path tracing in 5.3. So all of these things, you have to keep up to date with the technology because any new little update could be a huge impact on what we're doing up here.
So difficulty for you, Britt?
Difficult part for me was, I got the extended set pieces for the temple to a certain point, and then I just kind of hit a roadblock where there was missing something, and really it was Chris came in and she just helped me kind of make my work better. So,
What I really loved about the detail that you all had put into these is that like we can get real close with the camera, and we utilized like the same rocks for a lot of the different scenes. You know, we just rotated them so they didn't look like it was the same from the previous one.
Well, color's so hard too, because like we're being in virtual, right? We're on a screen. Everything has a temperature, right? And then of course you go like buy your paint and you're looking at a picture on your phone, and because you can't like just get a code and match it anywhere, right? And then so the trick is just to have like a few different colors of grays or browns, or like have some warms and darks. So then when you're actually in the studio and you're like doing that match, you have some flexibility.
Difficulty for me was when we were in the temple, we were going left to right, and then at the very last scene we're going right to left. So when I'm thinking of us playing out these scenes, it's like we had to be consistent in the movement. Otherwise, if we go left to right when we're in the entrance and we're at the fire pit, and then we're going right to left, we'd be exiting the temple, right? And like you'd think that'd be easy to comprehend, but I have 4 actors, and I have to get close-ups on all of us.
And you're one of the actors.
Yeah, I'm one of them. So I have to give direction myself. Where the hell am I looking? And like what side of the camera are we looking at? And how's the camera moving? And when we cross the line is when that door opens, you know, because we have a shot in front of us, we're on the line, door opens, then we cross the line. So we're going right to left. And there wasn't a real purpose for me doing that other than like, for me, I was just like, oh, we're going left to right this entire time. It's boring to me. It's like we have to switch it around. And so I think that was more difficult for me. It was like trying to keep the continuity.
So we had our plan in place. We're like, okay, this is where we're going to start. Of course, we always, you know, for our own stuff, we're not on a budget. We're not serving a client, so we're peppering it in. Like any downtime we have, we're, creating. So we knew that we were going to have like a little gap of time where we had no childcare, like during when we wanted to shoot this. So I'm probably going to have to go home and like remote in and like, not have the kiddo at the studio, with all the expensive equipment. And so we planned all of like my scenes and shots, specifically like, let's get me shot out so I don't have to be here for a couple of weeks,
and then we
right?
brought you in 2 months later.
What happened was I think we needed one more day, and I'm like, okay, well, we'll just plan that last little thing when he's taking a nap. So of course, like he doesn't. And we're like, well, we got to get it done today. So it was actually the scene where like Justin gets crushed to death, and I say, God, he's dead! And the kid hears that, and then he starts running around the studio going, God, he's dead! Like Parent of the Year award.
Yeah. Well, he hasn't said it since, so that's.
Yeah, it was just that day. Like, but he heard me scream.
But he's he picks up on things very well. Well, pleasure working with all you once again. You all crushed it. I'm so proud of this project. Thank you again for joining us on this journey of virtual production with Mastering the Volume. We'll see you next time.
Bye.